technology is exponential, and the technologies that solve the problems are exponential also, just like the ones that create the problems. And so, as I think, as we advance and correct these things, and we find better ways to create energy and transportation, we also solve those problems too. And so, I think in a couple hundred years we'll look back, or people will look back at us and be like, man, they were so primitive. Like they were,
Yeah.
they did things in such a primitive way. And in the future, we'll probably harness all of our energy from the sun, from just solar power.
Yeah, I totally buy into that and hope that that's true. I think,
If not, we won't be here probably.
well,
Yeah.
but I don't know about that. See, I think we have a 20th or 21st century bias in terms of how much progress there is and how much is sustainable. Because if you look at the end of the 20th century and you took somebody from there who has the internet and a laptop and a cell phone and a car, and you have that person talk to somebody from 1900, who's riding a horse, who might not be able to read,
Right.
and you look at that level and, airplanes, what are those? There's
These.
a balloon or whatever. That level of increase is exponential and huge. But if you took somebody from 1400 and had them talk to somebody from 1300, they're living largely
About
the
the
same
same.
life. Yeah. And for most of human
Well, the
history,
curve has been real slow, and now it's starting to
but
really
I think
ramp.
it's actually been linear or even static for a long time. So I think there are moments where there are these jumps, and one of them is, the development of agriculture takes us from, being hunter gatherers living in small communities because that's all we can sustain, to communities where you've got a whole bunch of people who farm, but that enables a whole bunch of other people to study technology, to do science, to develop military options that the hunter gatherers don't have. And so that's a groundbreaking revolution. And for us, it was carbon-based fuels, right? So
Yep.
we go to coal, to oil, and suddenly we have all this stored energy that we can kind of devote
Tap into,
to
yeah.
technology to make farming more efficient, to liberate people from
Mhm.
drudgery on farms, to drudgery in factories, and then
Yep.
to, the kind of technological society we have now with a lot more prosperity and a lot more options. But that happened because we got to that new sort of energy source, I think, and a whole bunch of other,
Sure. Yeah.
technological developments. But that's the big change from 1900 to 2000, right? And so you're going to need something to fuel that, and maybe computing technology is what fuels it for the next 80 years. But at some point, we're going to run out of those jumps. And so instead of exponential, I kind of think we go along and then we step up to some new place and kind of hang out there for a while.